Yo, Assalamu alaikum guys. I promised myself I would never make another one of these videos on this topic, but seeing as a video was made and I was indirectly mentioned, I'm having to do this. So yeah, it's live, but don't worry if you don't catch it live, please watch and share. But yeah, yesterday, most of you saw the idiot that we exposed for making some stupid statements in public about black people. Now, I've always said to people that anti-blackness is a huge problem, especially within the Muslim community, particularly among South Asians. And this video kind of proved my point, as did a lot of the responses from people, the lack of a response from the audience, and also the later responses from this guy. So let's just go straight into it. You guys have already seen the video, so I don't need to go over what was said. This guy came out with an apology, in a status first. And in that apology, he then continued to make even further racist comments. And then when people on his page, when followers from among his page started to advise him and tell him why there was something wrong with his apology, he began to block them and delete them. These are not the actions of a sincere person. Abu Ibrahim, by the way, I'm saying your name because unlike you, I'm direct, but anyway, let's continue. So this Abu Ibrahim character, he claims to be sorry, but then makes further his fans, then those that leave racist comments on his page about black people are not deleted. But any black person that turned around and said that there was something wrong with what he said, get blocked and deleted straight away. Now, he later makes a video, and in the video, first he contradicts himself. First he says, oh, there were two black people there when I said what I said. Then later he says two people advised him and said to him that what he said was wrong. I'm guessing those were the two black people you were with. So if the only black people you were with corrected you about what you said, surely you could have made a video and apologized later after making that statement. But you didn't. It took me exposing you for you to decide that you were going to do an apology. If you were genuine, you wouldn't need to get so much heat on you to turn around and say these things, to say you're sorry. And then he turned around, and this is what even further shows how racist this guy's attitude is. He says, oh, I didn't mean all black people. I meant like the black rappers, hip. I'm sorry. But if you associate only criminality with black people, you're a racist. If the label you have for black people is just rappers, like that's all we are, and that's the first thing that came to your mind, there's something wrong with you, because we all know very well that if I went to a bunch of people who were committing rape and pedophilia and I said, stop acting like Pakistanis, the same people defending him would say that I'm a racist. Even though the majority of grooming gangs, honor killings and things like that we see in the papers now are perpetuated by people from the same background as yourself. If somebody came out and said, brothers, stop beating your wives, brothers, stop raping your nieces, brothers, stop sexually abusing people in the masjid, brothers, stop grooming young white girls, brothers, stop raping your own nieces and killing them for marrying someone from the wrong culture, stop it, you're not Asian, people would be enraged. But it's okay for you to turn around and equate blackness with criminality. And this is a huge problem, because at the end of the day, we walk down the street, we get harassed by police. We go into shops, we get followed around like we're criminals. This criminalization of black people is a deep problem that we've dealt with. And in the same apology, this guy turns around and says he rejects the victim mentality of blacks. What victim mentality? If it wasn't for that victim mentality of us standing up to racism, most of you Asians would not be able to walk around the street freely here in the UK. It was our rioting, it was our campaigning, it was all these things that helped the situation, not just here, but in America too. In fact, what really I don't understand, what's funny to me, so you're telling people that they shouldn't talk like they sound like they're black and speak in a way that is dignified and whatnot. So you're trying to imply that black people as a whole generally speak worse than Asians? Let's be honest, the vast majority of Asians you come across here in this country still have traces of their parents' accents from Bangladesh and Pakistan. That's not a bad thing, it's one of those things. But the vast majority of South Asians have a weird accent that can be traced to a foreign country. So what makes you think that somehow your mode of speech is so much better than mine? It's ridiculous. Most black people actually can switch between the so-called lingo that they speak urbanly and the professional manner of speaking that you would carry out in an office. Most black people are used to doing that because we constantly have to switch registers. Most South Asians, however, tend to sound just one way. And then you talk about street slang and whatnot as if it's only black. Everybody speaks with a particular slang. Asian boys in Birmingham do not sound black. Asian boys in Bradford do not. I know you like to think you do. Maybe in your head you think you do. But these guys can't even differentiate between the way people talk in South London and whatnot and a Jamaican accent. It's not a Jamaican accent. Jamaicans sound completely different. Half of us don't even understand what a Jamaican will say to us. The Jamaicans come here, they have their own patois. It's not what we speak here in England. It's only because you guys are so narrow-minded, you class it all as the same thing. But we don't talk that way. I've never met an Asian boy from Bradford that sounds black. The boys in Bradford have their own lingo from years of living in areas among their own peers. Even though they speak English, you hear them talking, you know that's a Pakistani person talking. What does that have to do with black people? I still don't understand. And even when you talk about Tupac and Biggie, those guys have been dead for decades. What does that? Nobody's trying to sound like Tupac and Biggie here in the UK. We have our own way of talking. In Birmingham, half those guys we were talking to do not sound, probably don't even have black friends. So why is it that constantly the need to superimpose criminality on black people is there? What's even funnier to me is that how every time, and this is something I see very common among Asians, when you see one Asian per se, an Asian girl is promiscuous, they say she's behaving like a white girl. When an Asian boy sells drugs and is in gangs, he's behaving like a black boy. Since when do Asians need to be flipping influenced by black and white people to do crime? Let's look at the countries you guys come from. Bangladesh has the biggest brothel in the world. Was that rap music? In Pakistan, gun crime is worse than it is here in the UK. Rape and armed robbery is worse than it is here in the UK. You've got gangs in Pakistan. You've got mafias in Pakistan. Rape and murder are a daily occurrence in Pakistan. Even the biggest drug dealers in this country aren't even black. Opium, poppies, they don't grow in Africa. They don't grow in the Caribbean. Where do they grow? Who brought those drugs to this country first? So why is it you're blaming black people like we don't have enough problems of our own? And because you... So like I said, it doesn't make any sense. You go to Pakistan, and if you don't know anybody, you're there for a little while, you might get kidnapped. You might get raped. You might get shot. And they don't like rap music. Rap music is only just getting there now. You're going to blame that on hip-hop too? There are gangs in every single country, and every culture has its own criminality. So why I think, and I think it's also very telling that this guy, when he was talking about me, mentioned that I'm a black racist. I love the fact that he had to actually qualify the type of racist that I am by mentioning the fact that I'm black. Like, Gus me, bro, a black racist? They're the worst kind. If you don't have a problem with black people inherently, why would you need to qualify what type of racist I am? I don't understand this. And just because someone says sorry, if you're saying sorry, or I'm sorry, but you know black people generally are criminals, it doesn't cut it. Because at the end of the day, what is black culture? I'm from Nigeria, right? We're the most populated black country in the world. We speak over 500 languages. Yet you think all black people speak one way? That doesn't make sense. In fact, listen to this video, listen to how I talk, and listen to how he talks. Tell me who's more articulate. Be honest. Who sounds more educated between me and him? And I'm as black as they come. And what's worse is this, even if people speak in a particular way with a slang, that doesn't automatically make them a criminal. The vast majority of boys who speak like what man's saying, boom, the vast majority of boys that speak that way are not criminals. They're just young boys that talk a certain way. The same way the vast majority of people who speak with the Essex accent or the East End accent or Cockney accent or whatever, that doesn't make them a certain thing. That just means they come from an area and they talk that way. What you're doing is encouraging stereotyping, which in itself is wrong. That's labeling. That's classism and racism. So what? The moment I hear somebody talking with a certain way, am I supposed to assume that? So when I come across a brother from Bradford or a brother from Rochdale, am I supposed to assume that he's a pedophile straight away when he talks because, in that area, grooming gangs are a big thing among Asians? No, you don't do that. And you call me a racist, but at least with me, when I talk about these things, I'm very specific and particular. Why don't go to your community and talk about the things you have as a problem in your communities? Because those boys you were talking to were not roadmen, yeah? They weren't really criminals. They weren't really gangsters. You want to talk to go to a real area where there's real drillers and savages. Go to Peckham or Hackney and talk that same kind of talk. Or come to Croydon and say that stuff on a microphone. Not in front of the black, forget about the black drug dealers. Go and say that to the Asian ones. You won't make it out of there alive. Even they wouldn't have it. Those boys you were talking to, maybe they weren't practicing and they were just your young boys out But those were not roadmen. They were not. And it's also very disgusting that you think it's okay to say these things, because brothers who talk the way that you're insulting, brothers who speak with an urban accent, brothers who speak like they're from inner city London, those brothers actually were the biggest help to da'wah in this country. If you look at movements like Roadside to Islam, if you look at the brother Hussein Thomas from Street to Deen, Sunnah Poems, a lot of these brothers came out. When Roadside to Islam came out, that movement was big. And many brothers, I remember attending events, and brothers who were going to kill each other 2-3 years ago sat down side by side. Those days, the people these guys were giving dawah, and I was there, the people we were going out to talk to, you wouldn't have the courage to come and speak to, akhi. You wouldn't. You'd be too scared. And the reason they were able to reach the audience that they reached was because they spoke the same way the people they were talking to spoke. Yeah? So just because someone speaks in a slang, the Sahaba at their time, they were roadmen. There were many Sahaba who were not articulate. So when you talk about how, don't talk like you're black, Musa alayhi salatu salam was black. So was there something, did you look down on him? You know, and we also have to look at this. A lot of people say, but what he said was factual. You know, most rappers are black. Really? No. Rap now is worldwide. There's rappers in every single country. Most rappers are not black. Maybe most of the most successful ones, but even that isn't true. So the fact that you just associate, as soon as you see black people, the first thing that comes to your head is rap music and crime and drugs, shows that you have been raised, brother, with a sickness in your heart. That is racism. You've been raised with it. And it's another thing where, because when these things are done to you guys, you get offended. But every time a black person is offended by racism, he's told he's being oversensitive, or he's called a nationalist himself. Because you guys inherently, a lot of you, see black people as inferior. So you don't understand why a black person should be insulted by things that you say. Because for all we know, you probably say worse things about black people in private. Then you turn around and make it about my aqidah. You know, apparently I'm a deviant. I don't have taqwa. Why? Because I disagree with your racism? Bro, anybody that knows me will tell you. Yeah, I mean, this is not even something I have to argue about. Alhamdulillah. Let's stick to the facts. You said something disgusting and racist openly. Openly. And you only felt to correct what you said after you went viral with it. You claim that the video was short and somehow it's been edited to make you look bad. Brother, the long version of the video, I didn't put it out because nobody should have to sit down and listen to 9 minutes of your hubris to get to that. The long video did not change anything that you said. What you said was ignorant, full stop. There was no, it doesn't matter if I put a little bit of dog feces in a cake, yeah? And then someone takes out the feces and says, look, there's feces in this cake. Do you turn around and say, oh, but brother, there was vanilla in it too? No. What you said completely was wrong. It was disgusting. And the fact that nobody there, none of the Asians there said anything about it further proves my point. That this is a huge problem among South Asians. So, before you look at black people and blame us for the problems you guys have, understand, drug dealing was happening in your community before you ever even set foot in this country. Gun crime has always been a problem among your community as well. So has rape, so has kidnapping, so has fraud. All these things happen in your community without the influence of black people. If you want to go and deal with an Asian audience, let me see you talk about forced marriages. Let me see you talk about honor killing. Let me see you go to Rochdale and Telford and all these areas and deal with those problems. Leave black people to deal with black people. Since you guys don't like black people talking about Asians, and you guys don't understand us well enough to talk about us, just leave us to what we're doing. And stop pretending that you're talking to the youth and drug dealers. You're not. You're not. You wouldn't last 5 minutes among these people, brother. And we know that. And if you want to have this discussion with me in person, we can talk about it in person, akhi. It's not even a thing. But this one that you're slandering, claiming that, I'm a deviant, I'm not. You know that's not true. Why are you deflecting? And you're telling people that if they're upon the sunnah, please, they should defend you. That's pathetic. Own up to what you said and apologize genuinely. Why are you deleting comments of people that are advising you? And then when we pulled you up for deleting those comments, you leave, brothers, please, let's not talk about this anymore, or else, come on, that's pitiful, akhi. That's pitiful. Muslims, we're men, we should have honor. You should stand by what you said. Yeah? All black people talk like rappers, yes. You're more articulate than me. Okay, fine, no problem. Speak about issues in your community, and we will deal with ours. No questions asked. No questions asked. And let's make dua for brothers like Abu Bakr Damfa, brothers like Massacre, all these brothers who genuinely did go out and give da'wah to people who were on the road, who were killing people, who were stabbing people, people who were a threat. Yeah, let's also learn that we shouldn't look down on brothers that speak a certain way. Let's not look down on brothers that speak a certain way. Because at the end of the day, Allah created us in different classes. Many of the prophets that we follow were working class men. Isa was a carpenter. Yeah, no prophet, only Suleiman was a king. Peace and blessings be on them all. Only Suleiman was a king. And when you guys turn around and say, oh, this was factual, even when you state facts, there's an insensitive way to say them. Because let's look at the story of Abu Dhar, radiallahu an. When he turned to Bilal, and he said, oh, you son of an Ethiopian woman, which is also sometimes translated to, oh, you son of a black woman. What he said was factual. It was. Bilal's mother was a Habesha woman. But he said it in a way that was derogatory. And that offended Bilal. So Bilal went and spoke to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. And Muhammad turned to him and he said, Abu Dhar, you are a man that still has jahiliyyah in his heart. Did Abu Dhar say, oh no, Bilal is being too sensitive? No. Did Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam say, oh no, you're being too sensitive? Or, oh no, Abu Dhar is a man of Iman. He couldn't possibly have meant it that way. Or, no, but you guys fought side by side in jihad. You guys were shoulder. No, he didn't. He got angry and he told Abu Dhar what he said. He said, you're a man of jahiliyyah, the way of old, the paganism that we left. You still have traces of it in your heart. And Abu Dhar was so ashamed and embarrassed by what he did and what he said. When he went back to Bilal, he didn't tell Bilal, oh, actually what I meant was, he didn't do that. He didn't say, oh, but brother, it was a mistake and, you're being sensitive. He didn't do that. What he did was he put his head on the floor and told Bilal to step on his head. Now, in Arab culture, pointing your foot at somebody is insulting. Someone rubbing your head with their hand can be disrespectful because your head is like the cleanest part of your body. It's your most sacred part. And the foot is what touches the floor, so it's dirty. And also there's the whole aspect of sajda and sujood, bowing to somebody that isn't Allah. It's all, at that time it's a very huge demeaning thing to do, to have someone put their head on the floor and you step on it. But Abu Dhar, one of the greatest men, he was one of the Sahaba. These were people who were promised Jannah, promised heaven, regardless of what they did, was still so ashamed of what he did that he put his head on the floor and asked Bilal to do the most disrespectful, degrading thing that somebody could possibly do to a Muslim at that time, to him, just to make up for simply calling someone the son of a black woman, but saying it in a disrespectful way. Now compare that to the comments on this brother's page, and compare that to the insinuations he's making that black people are criminals. See, we've fallen. And, many of you will watch this and you will look for, oh, I don't like the way he's raising his voice. I'm Nigerian. Yeah, we speak like this. We speak with authority. It's not aggressive. Many of you will turn around and say, oh, but the brother, I don't like the way. If you do that, that's shaitan talking to you. Listen to what I've said. If I've said anything that's not factual, pull it out, let me see. But this Abu Ibrahim character, yeah, people like him are part of the problem. Because when we go out, and I used to go out and give da'wah, I don't do it anymore because I feel like I need to perfect myself before I can go out and be giving da'wah. And I think he does too. But when I used to go out and give da'wah, whenever I went to black brothers, people like this Abu Ibrahim were the reason that black people did not want to take Shahada. Because they bumped into ignorant people like him and his followers who made ignorant statements like this. And they would say things like, oh, Islam is a racist religion that teaches racism. And when I'd say why, they'd be like, oh, but look at this man that said this and this and this, and other Asians agreed with him. This is something ask any black Muslim who has non-Muslim family members or non-Muslim friends. The majority of the time, when they don't want to take Shahada, when they hate Islam, when they go against Islam, it's because they met an Asian that was racist. Point blank, period. And we now have to tell them that no, what these guys are doing, it's not from the religion, it's from their culture. And that culture is Hinduism. And that's why I use the term Bani Ganesh. Because when people did ignorant things, the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ would tell them that you are following the ignorance of the people before us, our forefathers, our ancestors. Now, if you are a Desi and you commit all these little sins in Islam and you project your culture over Islam to the point where when people tell you something is correct, something that is right and founded in hadith and sunnah, and you reject that in place of your culture, because culturally it's okay for you to do these things, then you, my friend, are following the Hinduism of your ancestors and not Islam. And that is why I call people Bani Ganesh. I'm not saying that everybody in Pakistan is a Hindu. No. What I am saying is that you're following your ancestors' ways. If you're offended by it, that's what it is. Go ahead, call me racist. You say that you guys will say you have one person that's black, that's your friend, so because of that you're not racist. Well, majority of my followers, mashallah, are Asian. Majority of the people who share my videos are Asian. So if I am a racist, are you saying they're retarded for not pulling me up on it? No. And I'm fully aware that yes, some of the language I used when I first spoke about this brother was a bit fruity, a bit vulgar or colorful, but I have a right to do that. I'm angry. What's your excuse? I have 2 children. I have to worry for them, because one day they won't be cute children anymore. They'll be adults, black adults, and they'll have to go into a world populated with people like him and his views. So it's bad enough we have to worry about white supremacy, we have to worry about Islamophobia, then within our own community now we have to worry about pedophiles, we have to worry about racists. It's a bit much, and that's why I'm passionate about these things. If you're not, then there's something wrong with you. Yeah, and I challenge anybody to prove anything I've said to be wrong, or debate me. I am always open for a debate. I'm not doing this for followers either. I'm not doing this for followers. If I wanted to be popular, I know how to be popular, but I'm not doing that. I don't care if I make enemies out of you people, but I will speak the truth. These people are selling Islam short. Imagine how many non-Muslims might have been on that street hearing what this man was saying. Somewhere out there's a black Muslim that heard that, or there's a black person new to Islam that heard that. And he's walking on thinking, rah, is that what these people really think about me and my religion? And these are the same people tomorrow that when you talk about your issues will tell you nationalism is haram. One ummah, strive for a khilafah. Tell me, how can we have a khilafah if you're going to be standing shoulder to shoulder with people that associate the color of your skin with evil and ugliness and inadequacy? How? Tell me. And if you're Asian, you know this is true. At some point, you've had an uncle or an auntie tell you, oh, this person is doing this bad thing. He's around black people too much. He's around white people too much. So, yeah. Anyone who's got a problem, again, my inbox currently full of all kinds of racist messages. I get threats. I get all of that. I don't care. You guys need to understand, I'm not scared of you. I'm not afraid of you. And I'm not bothered if you hate me. But be honest with yourselves. Your community has a problem. And this guy is just the tip of the iceberg. If somebody never pulled out a video of him saying this, and I told you that people say these kind of things, you would say it's a lie. Now, if he's saying that on the street openly, and he's supposed to be a person of knowledge, imagine what the average Desi person says about black people at home. Imagine that. And people will turn around and say that there's racism in every culture. And I need to finish on this point. Yes, there is, but not as bad. Not as bad as what is happening in your culture. And I'll give you proof of that. If you go to Africa, there are Indians all across Africa living happily that will tell you that they're Kenyan before they tell you that they're Indian. That will tell you that they're Tanzanian before they tell you that they're Indian. That will tell you that they're Nigerian or Ghanaian before they tell you that they're Indian. Now go to India and look at how black people are treated there. Go to Pakistan, the people that they call Shidi, the people in Makran, yeah? Look at how they're treated there and tell me that racism is not inside your culture. Be honest. If black people are so bad, why didn't you guys go to China and live there? Why didn't you guys go to Japan and live there? No, you came to Africa because you know black people are welcoming. Most of your businesses are supported by black brothers. Your chicken shops, your dessert parlors, your hair shops, black people support you. But what do we get in return? Let's be honest. When was the last time you even had a black Muslim in your house for Eid? Look how many reverts there are that don't even have family members that they can celebrate Eid with. Look how many white reverts and black reverts are depressed every year. Every year. White female reverts are some of the most depressed people you'll meet because they're lonely. Because they don't have families. Some of them don't have mahrams. They don't have walis that are Muslims, so they can't do certain things. But what are you guys doing about it? You know, you want to be the status quo of Islam and be the main representative of Islam until it's time to behave with honor. And that's not all Asians, but it is a lot. It is a lot. And you will never hear anybody talk about how racist a black masjid was to them. Same thing, go to the Caribbean. There's loads of Indians in the Caribbean. They're not treated badly. So, again, you want to talk about how racist black people are? One person calling you a curry muncher is terrible, but it's not the same as the level of racism that we get from you. There is so much racism within South Asians that even Asians who are darker skinned are treated badly by Asians who are lighter skinned because they look black. You don't believe me? Look at Pakistani's treatment of Bengalis. These aren't things I'm making up. So I'm not making an apology for anything I've said. This isn't a clarification. And again, if anybody has a problem, please, I'm not going to delete your comments. I'm the one that's open. This guy is deleting comments. And anybody from Birmingham that sees this guy, honestly, I'm not inciting violence, but I'm just saying this guy needs to be pulled up about his attitude because he's ruining the deen. This is what we call anti-da'wah. These guys push more people out of Islam than they do bringing in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Eid Mubarak, taqabbalallahu wa minna wa minkum. And yeah, sure you can.